The unexpected discovery. The quiet hum of the Raymond ship was suddenly interrupted by alarms blaring through its corridors. Xander, the ship's captain, stared in disbelief at the readings on his display. The uncharted planet they had stumbled upon, called Earth, was teeming with trillium, the most poisonous substance known to his species, the Ran. Yet, against all logic, the planet was not only inhabited, but thrived with human life. Trillium had always been a death sentence for the Ran and their enemies, the Volusians. Entire fleets had perished fighting over the small deposits scattered across the galaxy. But here, on Earth, humans were living right on top of vast trillium reserves. More shocking was the fact that these primitive beings were immune to its lethal effects, handling the raw material with bare hands and breathing its dust without any sign of illness. Xander clenched his jaw, the implications of this discovery flooding his mind. The balance of power in the galaxy could shift dramatically if the Volusians learned of this world's existence. But if Xander could secure an alliance with the humans first, the Ran could gain a nearly limitless supply of trillium and soldiers who could wield trillium-powered weapons without harm. He had to act quickly. With a sense of urgency, Xander signaled his landing party to prepare for dispatch. He checked his sidearm, knowing that this first encounter could change the fate of his entire species. If successful, they would gain an unprecedented advantage in the war. If they failed, and the Volusians arrived first, the Ran Empire would be doomed. First contact. Xander's footsteps echoed through the gleaming corridors of the Ran ship as he led the human named Terry through the decontamination process. Terry, one of the first humans to make contact with the Ran, seemed unfazed by the advanced technology surrounding him. His curiosity was palpable as he examined the ship's sleek design. They arrived at the laboratory of Dr. Zara Vox, the ship's leading xenobiologist. Zara's large silver eyes widened in fascination as she saw Terry. "A human in the flesh," she murmured, circling him with barely contained excitement. Terry had agreed to undergo a medical examination to help the Ran understand humanity's remarkable immunity to trillium. As Zara and her team began their scans, Xander stepped away to contact the Ran High Command. He reported the situation with urgency, emphasizing the need to secure an alliance with the humans. The response was swift. A delegation led by Admiral Zorn Krell was already en route. Meanwhile, in the heart of the Volusian Empire, Empress Zalara Vex received an intelligence report that made her blood boil. The Ran had found humans. With a sharp command, she ordered her top spy, Jax Wren, to infiltrate Earth and ensure that the humans did not fall into Ran hands. The alliance. The arrival of the Ran delegation on Earth caused a media frenzy. Admiral Krell, an imposing figure with chiseled features, addressed the crowd with a deep, resonant voice, seeking an alliance between Earth and the Ran. Unbeknownst to the humans, Jax Wren watched from the shadows, already weaving his web of deceit. Back on the Ran ship, Zora burst into Xander's quarters with groundbreaking news. The humans' immunity to trillium was not a natural evolution, but a result of precise genetic engineering. The implications were staggering. Someone had designed these humans to withstand trillium, but who and why? As Earth's military mobilized in response to the growing threat, Xander's team worked feverishly to equip a human ship with advanced Ran technology. Terry, now fully integrated into the mission, volunteered to pilot the hybrid craft, determined to break the Volusian blockade that had formed around Earth. But Jax Wren was already sowing seeds of doubt within Earth's leadership, whispering false concerns to General Marcus Vance. The situation grew more precarious as Zara uncovered more about the engineered human genes. The Ran and humans were racing against time, not just to form an alliance, but to uncover the truth behind humanity's mysterious immunity. The infiltrator. As the hybrid ship prepared for launch, the stakes continued to rise. The Volusians, with their warships blocking Earth's orbit, were a formidable threat. Xander and Terry knew they had to break the blockade and warn the Ran High Command about the Volusian spy embedded within Earth's leadership. The launch was tense. The ship's new trillium-based weaponry hummed with energy, ready to unleash destruction on the Volusian fleet. Terry, with his unique immunity, was the only one who could handle the ship's systems without succumbing to the effects of Trillium. Xander joined him in the cockpit, ready to guide the mission. As the ship slipped past the Volusian patrols, Jax Wren continued his infiltration, now posing as one of General Vance's most trusted advisors. Vance, unaware of the deception, began to question the alliance with the Ran. Meanwhile, Zara's continued research revealed more startling truths about human genetics, deepening the mystery. The hybrid ship faced increasing pressure as it neared the Volusian fleet. Xander and Terry knew they were running out of time. They had to expose the infiltrator before the Volusians could turn the tide of the war. The fate of Earth and the entire galaxy hung in the balance as they prepared to engage the enemy. The battle begins. The hybrid ship's stealth systems allowed it to evade the initial Volusian patrols, but their luck wouldn't hold forever. Xander and Terry worked in tense silence, navigating through the enemy fleet. They knew that any misstep could lead to disaster. As they approached the blockade, Terry intercepted fragments of Volusian transmissions. The messages confirmed their worst fears. Jax Wren had successfully infiltrated Earth's command structure. They had to warn General Vance, but every second counted, and communication channels were compromised. Back on Earth, Vance's suspicions were growing. Jax Wren, ever the master manipulator, continued to push the idea of negotiating with the Volusians instead of trusting the Ran. Vance was torn, but the seeds of doubt were taking root. In the sterile confines of her laboratory, Zara made a shocking discovery. The genetic modifications in humans were too precise to be natural. Someone, or something, had engineered these changes long ago. The question was, who had the power to do this? And for what purpose? The hybrid ship engaged the Volusian fleet, using its advanced weaponry to punch a hole in the blockade. But the battle was far from over. Xander and Terry had to find a way to get their message to the Ran High Command, expose the Volusian spy, and turn the tide of the war. The final confrontation. The hybrid ship's assault on the Volusian fleet was relentless. Xander and Terry pushed the craft to its limits, evading enemy fire while returning devastating blows. But the Volusians were not easily defeated, and reinforcements were on the way. Back on Earth, General Vance made a decision. He ordered the arrest of Jax Wren, but the Volusian spy was ready. In a flash of movement, Jax Wren drew a concealed weapon and attacked, taking down Vance before disappearing into the maze of the Pentagon's corridors. As chaos erupted in Earth's command center, Terry and Xander finally breached the Volusian blockade. They sent a desperate message to the Ran High Command, revealing Jax Wren's true identity and the imminent threat to Earth. Zara, meanwhile, continued her research, uncovering more about the mysterious origins of humanity's Trillium immunity. The truth was stranger than she could have imagined, and it was clear that the final battle would determine more than just the fate of Earth. It would shape the future of the entire galaxy. The last stand. The final confrontation was inevitable. The Volusians, realizing their spy had been exposed, launched an all-out assault on Earth. The Ran, now fully aware of the situation, scrambled to send reinforcements. But time was running out. Xander and Terry led the charge, their hybrid ship cutting through the Volusian fleet with ruthless efficiency. On the ground, Earth's forces, now aware of the true nature of the threat, fought valiantly to defend their home. In the midst of the chaos, Zara made a breakthrough. The genetic modifications in humans had been made by an ancient, long-lost civilization. They had foreseen the coming conflict and prepared humanity for this moment. The realization filled her with awe and a renewed sense of purpose. As the battle raged on, Xander and Terry made a daring move, targeting the Volusian flagship. If they could take it down, the rest of the fleet would be thrown into disarray. The plan was risky, but it was their only chance. The final moments of the battle were a blur of action and desperation. Xander and Terry, fighting side by side, pushed their ship to the brink. The Volusian flagship, caught off guard, fell in a blaze of glory. With their leader gone, The Volusian forces retreated, leaving Earth and the Rand victorious. But the victory came at a cost. As the dust settled, the survivors knew that the war was far from over. The galaxy had changed forever, and new challenges lay ahead. But for now, humanity and the Rand stood together, ready to face whatever the future might bring. The final stand. The hybrid ship tore through the void of space, leaving the Volusian blockade behind. Terry and Sander exchanged a glance, both knowing the gravity of their mission. They had to reach the Riemann fleet and deliver the crucial intelligence before it was too late. The fate of both Earth and the Riemann Empire rested on their shoulders. Inside the Pentagon, the atmosphere was electric. General Marcus Vance, having barely survived the assassination attempt, now led a desperate effort to root out the remaining Volusian infiltrators. Jax Wren had escaped, but Vance was determined to hunt him down. The security of Earth depended on it. Colonel Wilkins, status report, Vance demanded, his voice sharp despite the pain from his wounds. Wilkins stood at attention, his face etched with worry. We've locked down all key facilities, sir. But Jax Wren is highly trained and has already sabotaged several communication relays. He's making it difficult to coordinate our defenses. Vance's jaw tightened. We need to flush him out before he causes any more damage. Focus all resources on finding him. Meanwhile, Jax Wren moved through the shadowy corridors of the Pentagon, his every step calculated. The Volusian agent had a final task to complete, one that could cripple Earth's defenses and ensure Volusian dominance. He knew the clock was ticking, but he relished the challenge. To him, this was more than a mission. It was the ultimate test of his skills. Back on the hybrid ship, Terry and Sander were nearing the rendezvous point with the Riemann fleet. But as they approached, alarms blared throughout the cockpit. "Incoming Volusian ships," Sander shouted, gripping the controls. Terry's fingers danced over the controls as he tried to outmaneuver the enemy. "They're not letting us go without a fight." Xander activated the ship's weapon systems. "We've come too far to fail now. Let's give them everything we've got." The space around them erupted in flashes of light as the two ships engaged in a deadly dance. The Volusians were relentless, but Terry's piloting skills, combined with the advanced Riemann technology, gave them an edge. They weaved through the barrage of fire, returning shots with precision. Inside the Pentagon, the situation grew more dire. Jax Wren had reached one of the primary defense control centers. If he succeeded in his sabotage, Earth would be defenseless against the impending Volusian invasion. Colonel Wilkins, following a lead, finally cornered Jax Wren in the control room. "It's over, Wren. Surrender now." Jax Wren turned slowly, his cold eyes meeting Wilkins. "You underestimate me, Colonel. This is far from over." In a blur of motion, Jax Wren attacked. The two men clashed, exchanging blows in a brutal fight for control. Jax Wren was faster, but Wilkins had the strength of desperation on his side. The fate of millions rested on this confrontation. Back in space, Terry and Sander were reaching their limits. The Volusian ships were closing in, and the hybrid ship was sustaining heavy damage. But just as it seemed they would be overwhelmed, the Riemann fleet appeared, warping in with a thunderous display of firepower. "Reinforcements have arrived," Sander shouted with relief. The Riemann ships opened fire, forcing the Volusians to retreat. Terry guided the battered hybrid ship into the safety of the fleet, where medical teams and technicians immediately began repairs. As they docked, Sander wasted no time. He rushed to the communication terminal and transmitted the critical information to the Riemann High Command. The data on the Volusian infiltrators and their plans was now in the hands of those who could turn the tide of the war. On Earth, the fight between Wilkins and Jax Wren reached its climax. Wilkins, bloodied but determined, finally gained the upper hand. With a swift, decisive move, he disarmed Jax Wren and brought him to the ground. "You lose," Wilkins spat, pinning Jax Wren to the floor as reinforcements arrived to secure the traitor. Jax Wren smirked, even in defeat. This is just the beginning. As Jack's Wren was taken away, Wilkins collapsed against the wall, breathing heavily. The immediate threat was neutralized, but the war was far from over. Back on the Reman flagship, Sander stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The message had been sent, but the cost of victory was high. He knew the battle to protect Earth, and the Reman Empire was only beginning. Terry joined him, his face weary but resolute. "We did it. But what now?" Xander placed a hand on Terry's shoulder. "Now we prepare. The Volusians will come at us with everything they have. But with the alliance between Earth and the Reman Empire, we stand a fighting chance." The two men stood in silence, watching as the stars passed by. They had won a crucial victory, but the future was uncertain. Yet, as long as they fought together, they knew they could face whatever came next.